give up the person, but you can you
Give up a person, give
give,
up
give up on the
on,
person. Yes.
give up
So
on me, give
so
up on me.
that's the
You
expression.
can give up on the
So
person.
so you can give up on the person, but I didn't give up on you or on trying to explain to you the joke. There was just a cut in the connection. I don't know why, but now we're reconnected, so that's all right. And so, yes, as I was saying, uh, this means that the only two people who know what happened uh, in this situation
Yes.
uh, is the leprechaun and the landlord. Those are the only two people. So, uh, because neither of them have told anybody else, and this story, therefore, the person who's telling this story doesn't know what it is either. And so the person who's telling the story is not able to tell us what happens. So we remain in suspense. Uh,
Mm,
you understand that?
no, I understand. I understood
Mm,
because they create a long
exactly.
practice
A very long story. That's right.
that finish in nothing.
Exactly. That finishes in nothing.
Oh, and
That
this is a joke.
yes, and that is actually the joke. You see, because you see
No,
the
create an expectative, expect,
expect expectancy. So
skeptic.
an expectancy. There we are. I've just written it in the Skype chat for you. It creates an
Expectancy.
expectancy. So
Uh,
you're expecting something absolutely amazing. And finally,
oh, see.
at
In
the end,
the end, nothing
that's right.
happened.
At the end, there's nothing. There's always a good reason why there's nothing. There's always a good excuse. And in this case, it was because it was a secret and they couldn't tell the secret. They never did tell the secret, so nobody knows. And so this is a joke which,
And never will know.
and that's right, we will never know. And
No,
in fact, you could say the joke is on the other person who's listening to the joke. You see, it's a bit like the person who's telling the joke is joking with the other person who's listening to the joke. So the joke is actually on the other person. So it's a bit like taking the other person for a ride. Do you know the expression of taking somebody for a ride? So
no, I
it's
don't know.
like taking
Take
someone for a ride. So obviously this is very idiomatic because you don't actually take them in your car for a ride, but you're
ride is
like a car ride, you see. When you're driving in the car, you can talk about a bus
yes,
ride, a train ride, uh, um, any vehicle that you use for transport, then you could talk about a ride in that vehicle. Um, but here, it's not a vehicle, but when you're taking somebody for a ride, you're just taking them along with you, and you're just seeing how far you can take the person with you, how long you can have them listening to you before they lose concentration, they lose their patience, they lose interest, and then they say, "Oh, I'm very sorry, but I have to go and do something
and
else."
like a second language. It is. I needed to think about the word and
The
remember
words.
what that they mean
That's
to
right.
me. And okay,
And
let's finish with my
yes,
joke.
if you have another joke, that's great.
I
Thank
have,
you,
I
Vanilza.
have. So
Wonderful.
it's about. Oh, there were three men
Yes.
There are three men, one plain, one French, one American,
Yes.
and one Brazilian.
Okay.
The Frenchman put his arm out the window
Mm-hmm.
and said, "We're in France,
France.
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 We're in
Yes.
France.
Yes.
How do you know? How do you know?" asked the others. "How do you know?"
Yes.
I touched the Tower.
The Eiffel Tower. That's right. Yes.
Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
The American put his out, arm out and say, "We are in the USA."
Yes.
"How do you know?" asked the others.
Yes.
"I just touched the State of Liberty."
Oh, the Statue of Liberty. Yes,
The
that's right.
State of Liberty, the American said.
Uh-huh.
And the Brazilian puts his arm out and say,
And said,
uh,
and said,
and
because it's in
said,
the past. Yes.
"We're in Brazil." "How do you know?" asked the others.
Yes.
He's they stole my watch.
Ah, yes. Yes, I've heard another variation of this joke, and I was wondering if it was going to be exactly the same, but it's a slightly different variation. But it's a very good joke, and it's a classic, actually. Um, all the different situations you can have with three people riding on a train, opening the window. But in the other variation I knew, they're throwing different things out of the window. Um, so, but this case, they're not throwing something out of the window. So they're just putting their arm out of the window. But that's
Yeah,
really
but
funny with
on the other side,
mhm.
isn't he a good fame for us?
Yes, that's right. And uh, so you're saying that there's lot of crime and criminality and theft in Brazil. Is that right?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
mm.
Here, the robbers, stolers are common. Common, can I say common?
Oh, it's quite common.
Quite
Yes.
common.
Hmm.
Depend the local. The danger is
Mm.
more than others places.
Ah, more than other
Depend.
places. Yes. Hmm. Yes,
But
I see what you mean. Uh, but I think it's only dangerous like when you're in the big city centers. I think if you're out in the
yes,
countryside, it's not so dangerous in the countryside. Is that right,
yes.
Vanilza? Yes. Yes,
Okay,
it's often
good,
like that.
good.
Okay, so
One
tell me,
day,
yes,
one day in the
uh,
future,
yes,
uh, we you will talking to me a joke,
talk,
and I laugh
talk.
immediately.
That's right. Um, talk. So this is the way to pronounce the
Uh,
word talk.
you you will talk. We
Talk.
will talk to me a
Yes.
joke, and I laugh
You not say talk to me a joke. You,
quickly.
you would say you will tell me a joke.
Tell
Tell
me,
me.
you
That's
will
right.
tell me.
Tell me a joke.
Okay.
Because you see, when you're telling, you're communicating something to the other person. But
Mhm.
some people can talk to themselves. You see what I mean? When they're speaking to themselves or talking to themselves, they're not telling somebody else about something. They're just
Mhm.
speaking. They can be speaking just in the air, without there being anybody else, and they're just
Okay.
talking. They're just speaking. Um, but telling is actually like giving a report, um, giving a description, um,
Description.
explaining something. You're informing somebody. So in this case, you would say, tell me
Tell
rather than talk. Because talk can just be blah, 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 without actually
Mm.
informing the person of anything. The person could, whilst they're talking,
Uh,
ask questions. And if they're asking questions, they're not actually telling something to the other person, they're actually asking for information from the other person. And then it's the other person who tells the first person about this or that or the other,
mm.
you see. So that's why talking is very general,
General, okay.
but
And
tell
tell
is
them some
transmitting
things to
information.
other
Tell,
people.
that's right. You're transmitting information to the
Okay.
other person. And it's a more specific form of talking. You see, it's
Okay.
a more specific form of speaking. Yes, that's right. Excellent. Well, that's very good, Vanilza. So thank you very much
See
for the
you.
lesson. That was great. See you next time. I look forward to the next
Bye
lesson.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
All the
you.
best. You're
Thank you,
very
Walter.
welcome. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye,
See you.
Vanilza. Bye. See you.